absolutely good on all fronts. Hello guys, today we're gonna review a new game that's called SKALD against the Black Priory. The combat is fun with crunchy heights, exploring is rewarding, the lore is on point. If this aesthetic does literally anything for you, this is a no-brainer must play. For future title, I would like to see more opportunities to develop my character and leveling beyond feats as similar classes can feel derivative. Note that in gambling, a CRT filter will greatly help readability, but it can still feather occasionally you haven't lived until you squint it and the CRT blurred character in a future attempt to discern them. If this game had been released in 2000s, it will be considered one of the masterpieces of that genre. The palette and art make it feel like it could have been too in some alternative history. As I'm playing, I find myself thinking about Ultima and wishing the Origin had landed on an engine like this instead of launching into the U7, U8, U9 trilogy that sucked them into adding more and more interactive to their games. Which isn't to say that SKALD isn't interactive, not at all, it's just that it achieves interactive and atmosphere with very sparring technical difficulty. It's really impressive as the atmosphere feels exuded, there is always something to do and the writing is better than most other RPGs. I will update this review in my opinion change, but at this point, a few hours in this gets a strong yes. SKALD is inspired by older titles and you can see that in its visuals. The abstraction it makes work in these favors if you let yourself be immersed, because it is far easier to sell eldritch monstrosities when our minds have to try and fill the in blanks. It can be frightening to stumble on a whole swarm of lizards as you explore a cave, or an ambush from the rivers wandering through the mist, not to mention the beautiful and horrific centipedes you see when entering areas or during dialogues. The northern gate of Horin is especially memorable both in the game and its centerpiece art. However, the combat can get a bit muddled. Sometimes it is hard to spot enemies in a heavy mist, and sometimes enemies are at the very edge of the map, which obscures most of their spirits, which is unfortunate because it was typical easy to read. There is also music and the OST is very suitable. It is the type of dungeon scenes you can find in many older games and they made good use of it to set in the mood. It is all very somber and often very slow. Songs like Unrecognizable Empire and The Cold and Cruel Land are very enjoyable and a bit distressing. There's built up of tension or change in the read that is almost uncomfortable, perfect for Lovecraftian RPGs. SKALD plays a lot like a TTRPG. Some experience with such system can be helpful, but it's not required. However, there are things to keep in mind. For example, no companion shares a class with another, so if you want two mage, you will need to be one yourself or you need to be required in building a mercenary. You can easily beat the game with a sole mage companion, but it's good to know if you have a specific party composition in mind. The game is not at all challenging. I went in expecting SKALD to be similar and difficult to the Pool of Radiant series, but that was not the case. You may need to read through encounters especially early on, but it's manageable and always feels double. While the writing and the presentation were highlights of the game, I was also pleasantly surprised by the combat. It is a very straightforward turn-based combat system and it feels satisfying and several encounters have fun challenge to overcome. Sometimes you can get the upper hand by entering from different rooms, also you can prepare for with a spell or maybe you can avoid combat altogether with a skill check. What makes fighting so much fun are the thieves. You can get insane amount of damage just by flanking your enemies, but ranged and more traditional fighters are also a lot of fun. Losing volleys of arrows attacking twice in a turn or you of being caster and buffing the entire party. However, I only adore the classes that get a lot of crits, thieves, and that is because of the crit effect. The screen shakes, there is awful squelching noise as foes die, and you storm their compress. It is extremely satisfying. Unfortunately, you will be fighting in a lot of tight corridors, cramped caves, or other interiors, so getting backstab is not always an option, but the weight only makes me crave it more. Yet there is one part of SKALD that I found particularly annoying. Random encounters, you can avoid them with a skill check, but they are a bit too frequently. Early fight can be devastating, and when you get 3 of them moving from camp to the next area, it's just not fun, so I felt happier skipping them. If I could change my party leader, the character who makes the skill check before making the roll, I would actually engage with the system, but as it is, I just avoid them. Overall, SKALD's combat and exploration are very fun. There are a few puzzles to break up the pace and even a few text adventures. My issues with it are typical minor M. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you later. Goodbye, my friend.